Speaking with Larry Keane of the National Shooting Sports Foundation. Larry, tell us what is going on with the lawsuit you guys are working on.
Well, today we filed a motion to dismiss the Center for Biodiversity's frivolous and utterly baseless lawsuit against the EPA trying to impose a ban on traditional ammunition made with lead components. As you'll recall, the Center for Biodiversity filed a petition a number of years ago asking the EPA to ban traditional ammunition under the Toxic Substance Control Act. Fortunately, Congress put an exemption in the law that said the EPA does not have jurisdiction over ammunition and firearms products. Despite that, the Center for Biodiversity filed a petition. The EPA denied the petition. Then the Center for Biodiversity tried to file a lawsuit. We joined into that lawsuit, as did NRA and SCI, and we were successful in having the court dismiss their lawsuit. They then went and filed another petition, and that was denied by the EPA. So then, of course, doing what they always do, the Center for Biodiversity filed yet another lawsuit that NSSF, NRA, and SCI have intervened in. And today we filed our motion to have the court throw the case out because, again, Congress has been very clear about this. The EPA does not have jurisdiction under the Toxic Substance Control Act to regulate firearms and ammunition products. But because the Center for Biodiversity will not stop these frivolous lawsuits and harassing petitions, we're supporting legislation that has already passed the House of Representatives that would clarify very, very clearly that the exemption in TSCA applies to not just the fully assembled cartridge, but also to all of the components, which is their argument. They claim, well, you can't regulate the fully assembled cartridge, but you can regulate the components. And of course, if you can ban the components, you can ban the whole cartridge. So this would destroy tens of thousands of jobs in the United States. 95% of ammunition sold in America is traditional ammunition. Only 5% is alternative ammunition, and of that 5% is shot shell for waterfowl hunting. So, the industry makes alternative ammunition products in response to consumer demand. There just isn't a lot of consumer demand for the product. And there's, of course, absolutely no reason whatsoever, based on science, for the EPA to regulate or ban traditional ammunition, either because it represents some kind of danger to wildlife, and even if there was an issue, that would be dealt with by the state fish and game agencies, not the EPA, or any claims that they're making that somehow there's a risk to human health from consuming game harvested with traditional ammunition. People like Paul Ryan and his family who consume the game that Paul hunts with his family. So there's no risk to human health. This is just an attempt by anti-hunting organizations to end hunting in the United States.
How will this affect the average shooter or hunter or sportsman?
Well, if they were successful in banning traditional ammunition, and you could only buy alternative ammunition, you couldn't afford to buy ammunition. There wouldn't be any available because the supplies are not there, and the cost of ammunition would go up 200% on average. So imagine what it would cost to go to the range on a Saturday with your kid to shoot some paper targets, or to go hunting, or to participate in a trap league or something like that. It would also cost the government more money because they wouldn't be able to buy traditional ammunition. The Department of Defense wouldn't be able to buy traditional ammunition. They'd have to use only alternative ammunition. So think about what happens to the taxpayer. And like any other product, as prices go up, demand falls, and the amount of ammunition sold will crater. And what happens then? The 11% excise tax that the manufacturers pay on this when they sell ammunition, which funds wildlife conservation, will drop precipitously. And so the very ammunition that these guys demonize is what pays for wildlife conservation, and their actions, while purportedly being to help wildlife, would actually hurt wildlife.
So how can people get more information about the NSSF and about this lawsuit?
Well, if you can go to our website, nssf.org, and the Government Relations tab, and you can find out information about the lawsuit there. And we also have background information about the entire issue of traditional ammunition and threats that are being made by other groups, not just the Center for Biodiversity, to try to ban or restrict the use of traditional ammunition based on really junk science or total lack of science. What they're trying to claim is that even if one critter might be harmed by consuming a fragment of a lead bullet that's left in a carcass left in the field, let's say, that's reason to ban traditional ammunition. And so But that's just not what wildlife biology is all about. You manage populations. You don't manage to prevent harm to individual animals because, of course, John, if wildlife management becomes about preventing harm to individual animals, well, then you've just made the argument to ban hunting, which, of course, is precisely the point. And that's precisely their objective, is to ban hunting in the United States.
Larry Keane, thank you so much.
It's always a pleasure to be with you, John.